But the big thing, the first really big product this year is the ATEM Television Studio Pro 4K. We did a HD version of this last year, and the feedback was there was really two types of people that couldn't use it. The first people needed more SDI, and some other people wanted some Ultra HD. So this one is a 12G SDI switcher. It's got a lot of the same features as the other one has. So it's got DVE, and it's got audio mixing, and all the control panel built in. But what's really nice about it is it's got the 8 12G SDI inputs, and it's also got 8 12G SDI outputs. They're program outs that you can use to send off to the cameras, because it has some small camera control in it, and you can then run those as camera feeds or program return feeds to the cameras. But they also have mix minus support on each one of them. So it's pretty powerful. I mean, you've got basically 8 program outs plus the normal program out. So you've got lots of distribution. Now, what's really exciting is we've put a Teranex Express on each input. The switcher does HD and Ultra HD rates, doesn't do SD. I mean, there's really, I don't think anyone around doing SD anymore, so we've dropped it on a few things, not many, but some things. But each input actually has a full standards converter, so it doesn't matter what the input format is, which is kind of funny, because if you get it on the, it's quite easy to set the switcher to the wrong video standard. You can have it set to like 720p or something, and it's all working, and then you realize, oh no, I'm recording the wrong standard. So you actually have to double check which video format you've got it set to, because it doesn't matter. The inputs just keep working. You can put anything in, it just works. So it's pretty cool, because of course there's also resynchronizers on the inputs. We've also, that's just a small part of it. This is our most advanced switcher. It's not our biggest switcher, but it's definitely our most powerful switcher by quite a way. And it's got an ATEM advanced chroma key in it as well. So we only had that key on the 4ME switcher. Now it's on the TV Studio Pro 4K. So you've got things like you can eyedropper the color, you can do spill suppression, you can grade the foreground so it matches the background, so you can match the layers. It's really quite powerful, and it's built in. We also have 90 frames of Ultra HD media pool for motion, over 2 motion clips, but it's like 300 frames, I think, in 1080 and more in 720p. So there's motion media built in. But the most powerful, I think the most powerful thing we've done is we've taken the Fairlight audio mixer and built it into the switcher. So if you look at it, and you can see the audio mix is quite different on this model. The UI looks quite different. This is the software control panel. And you've got 6-band parametric EQ on each input channel. You can break any input into dual mono, and so you can have those as separate treatments on either of those mono channels. And also we've got dynamics. So we've got compressor, limiter, noise gate, expander, and that's on each individual input, and the master output, and the analog input, and the talkback microphone also goes into the mixer, so you can use it for commentary. The other cool thing we've got on the other channel, you can see some of the channels that are broken out, is dual mono. If you run the analog input, and the mic input, of course, is mono by default, if you run them as dual mono, there's actually a stereo simulator. You can actually create stimulated stereo to make the microphone input sound much nicer. And then you can see it working with the CCU panel. So it's got some camera control built in, but it's still got Ethernet. You can still run external control panels. So you can have a whole group of people all working together. And the other thing is the multi-view is Ultra HD. So it's, even if you're running in HD, you can run the Ultra HD multi-view out and get double the resolution. So I might quickly show you, if we can switch over to the UI on the switcher here. You can see this is on the color camera control page. If I go to the audio mixer, you can see the audio mixer over here. And if I click on one of the channels, you can see up there, this is the compressor, and I can change some of the parameters. And each input has one of these. And if I click on here, here's the equalizer. So I can just click and drag if I want to create a notch filter, and there's all sorts of parameter adjustments to alter the characteristics of the different bands. And over the right-hand side here, I'm using this right hand, I'm actually left-handed. You can see here's the stereo simulator page. And the other thing I forgot to mention, there's also, on the analog inputs, there's up to 4 frames of audio delay. So if you've got some processing delay in your cameras, you can match the analog inputs to that. So there's the stereo simulator here. But what's really interesting is if we go into the switcher settings, which is, the switcher's operating in Ultra HD 5994, I could change that to, well, I'll change it to 24 frames at 1080p. Now if we can get a bit of a wider shot, and you can see the multi-view here, if I change that setting, it'll show you really how those input standards converters work. Because what's happened, I've just switched the switcher standard. The switcher's come back. This monitor's a bit slow to relock, so the switcher's up here running. You can see all the inputs still work. That's because the switcher changed standards. They're Ultra HD inputs. but the switcher video standard changed, and all the input standards converters just converted the entire, every input that's there, and it all just came back up again, which is why you can kind of have your switcher set to the wrong standard really easily now. But it's awesome that it doesn't matter what you plug in, it just works. So if we can get back to the slides now, that it, we'll keep moving, otherwise it's a bit slow. So that switcher is available now, it'll be 2995.